Welcome back to another episode of the Even Your Dynasty show. Yeah, K-Man here today. We got Ricky, no Cody. Feel better, brother. But we're stepping in, filling in for our brother. So what is up, Ricky? Long time no see, brother.
Much. Got some baseball to talk about finally. Looking forward to it. Giants are playing pretty good baseball right now. Showing off some power. Nice to see.
Bro, I will say that it's so nice to be able to watch the game with NBC Sports Bay Area tomorrow. Feel like it's long overdue, man. It's crazy. We're what, 2 weeks into spring, and this is our first televised game for us. It's crazy.
Yeah, luckily I've had a couple games off of MLB to get a watch, but yeah, it'll be nice. Get some better quality in there too. But now that we're getting our first one in, we should have a few more games here pretty shortly, getting to watch through the normal broadcast that we're used to. So definitely looking forward to that for sure.
I literally paid $30 for the MLB TV subscription thing just so I can watch these other teams' coverage of our games, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah. I didn't want to do it at first, and then I finally caved in. I'm like, dude, I gotta watch some baseball. I can't sit here and just watch Gamecast and watch these little updates. It's too much.
Nah, I feel it. But yeah, thank God we got Giants baseball tomorrow. But what's up, everyone? Let everyone kind of trickle in. We'll dive into everything. What up, Ziggy, Cole, Aaron? What's good? Yeah, Cole. So we are gonna do the giveaway tonight. We've been teasing it for weeks now. Cody wanted to be a part of it, but he's pretty sick. So two of us are gonna launch it. All you have to do is just comment. That's all you got to do. We'll run the giveaway at the end of the live. So right at the end of the show, we're probably only going to be around, an hour-ish, give or take. So stick around the 8:30, 8:45 mark. And as long as you're in the chat and you've left a comment, you're enrolled in the giveaway. So we'll do that later. And then, I'll have Ricky show what the giveaway is going to be. Unless you want to just show it real quick now, just so they know.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. All right. Pulling out of the box. So here it is. This is out of the box, obviously. That's what it looks like. There's the front of it. Dan's favorite player.
Our hero.
Comes with a little catcher's mask too.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's all wrapped up. It's in the box. We'll pull this guy out towards the end of the show.
Yes, sir. So like he said, just make sure you comment, make sure you're here when we do the giveaway. So you're all good. That's our new catcher, Sam Huff. Yeah, dude, that backup catcher position. It's something else. We're going to dive into a lot of these competitions and stuff that's going on. So we got plenty of topics to touch on. So if you guys want to, have anything to say, leave a comment. We'll obviously touch on it. And yeah, man, it'll be a pretty good one today. So as you can see with the title, with the thumbnail, it's all about the spring training competitions that are heating up. And look at Aaron's comment, Rick. Will the Bailey bobblehead last through July? Yeah, you're not wrong there. Oh, you're muted, bro.
Might lose a leg halfway through the season.
Might lose a leg. No, but we're going to dive in on some of these competitions. Firstly, which is probably one of the bigger surprises to some, not necessarily to me, Ricky and Cody. We've been pretty high on the guy, but is Landon Roop. So he is having a phenomenal spring. Like, he has been just completely lights out, came out of nowhere. Going into spring, everyone was talking about the competition for the fifth rotation spot being between Birdsong or being between Harrison. And Landon Rupus kind of came out of nowhere and is putting on a clinic. So the three of us been pretty high on him. It's great to see. He's always had good stuff. Cody's always kind of compared him to like prime Vogelsong, which I think it's a pretty good compliment. But yeah, so he's making a push for that fifth spot. We're obviously going to touch on some of Kyle's struggles in a bit, but I just want to get your thoughts, Ricky. What do you think about the the competition for the fifth starting rotation spot, and what are your thoughts on Roop in general?
Well, I think at this point, it's not really much of a hot take anymore to say that Landon Roop has a very real shot at getting the fifth starter spot in the rotation. He has only given up one hit through 8 1/3, 11 strikeouts, hasn't given up a run yet. He's been absolutely dominant. He's worked super efficiently. Really, really good to see. I definitely think that's a possibility unless he just really starts to struggle and say Harrison just completely does a 180. I don't see any way how they can possibly put Kyle in the rotation over Roop at this point. I think it's very likely if things continue trending the way they are that we'll see both Harrison and Birdsong start in Sacramento this year. Just to get those guys more work, because it doesn't really do them much good if you're going to have them come out of the pen, on the big league team to start the season.
Yeah, I feel it. It's still early in spring. We're still going to see a few more starts from Harrison, and to his credit, there are reports saying that he caught a bad case of the flu that was going around. I know Eric Miller was super sick with it, so could that have maybe affected him, made him a little rusty to start? It's possible, but it's definitely not encouraging. Seeing Kyle struggle that bad, especially after all off season of all the reports going around saying that he's healthy and that he got his mechanics sharpened up so he can finally get that velocity back, which was probably his biggest asset when he was going through the minors. And for him to just be in the 90 92 range with his fastball and just be all over the place with his command, apparently it's just it wasn't a good start. So hopefully he gets it together. You're a big Harrison fan. You've been very high on him for years now, as of all of us. So would it hurt for him to be in SAC? No, it would probably only benefit him, but I know it's definitely not what a lot of people expected. So, I mean, we'll see how the rest of spring shapes up. But if Roop continues this momentum and keeps pitching how he has been, it's going to be hard to keep him out of the rotation. I mean, he's undoubtedly got, at least the bulk man job locked up in the bullpen, but it's going to be hard to keep him out of that fifth spot. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Clayton's 6-man rotation thoughts. I can't see them doing it, honestly. What are your thoughts? You're more of a pitcher than me.
I think it would be honestly pissing both or all three of Webb, Ray, and Verlander, because that's a pretty big change for those three guys to make. Verlander's coming into his 20th season in the big leagues, and then you've got Ray, who's been in the league for what seems like forever now, and then Webb's a veteran too. Like, these guys aren't going to really want to adapt to that change, and it can really throw guys' routines off, because the thing is these guys have very specific routines. They obviously have their day that they're going to throw on the mound in a game, and then they have their post throw routine, and then they have a few days of doing their regular weightlifting routines, and then they have the routines that they do before they start. And then now these three guys that have been in the league forever, they would have to completely switch that up and find a new routine for them to do all right as the season's starting. So I just think it's way too late to make a change like that, and it's not really worth it. At the end of the day, Webb's a guy you want out there every fifth day. You don't want to stretch him out any further, because then you're not getting as much usage out of him. That's a guy you want out there as much as possible, as long as his arm can handle it.
Yeah, plus Webb takes pride in the amount of innings that he pitches. Like, he makes it a goal to pitch 200 plus. So yeah, you'd be doing him a disservice at that point.
Yeah, so I don't really see that happening at all. I think it really just comes down to between Roop, Harrison, and Birdsong. Choose one, throw them in the rotation. The other two, no matter what two they are, even if it wasn't Roop staying in the big leagues, I would say it's still most beneficial to have them play, in Sacramento to start the year, because you want them to get starts in. You want them to be able to get stretched out. You don't want to have them start the season only going, max 3-4 innings at a time. And, just based off of how the Giants have kind of done things in years past, they've really babied some of these young arms, and the Giants really need to get them stretched out. So you got to do that while they have option years and use them in the minor leagues.
Yeah, and to your point there, along with Aaron's comment about Root being stretched out, correct me if I'm wrong, he came up as a starter, no?
Roop, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously he hasn't been in that routine, but he's more than capable of, going 5+ if he gets back into the groove as a starter.
The main issue with Roop is he's battled a few injuries. Like last year, he missed a lot of time, and last year would have been the time where he could have really gotten his innings up. But because he missed so much time, his inning totals were down, and then he obviously didn't get as many innings to start last year either, because he made the opening day roster, which is cool, but he was more of a long man, and they were kind of using him really weird. They didn't really have anybody solidified to take over Tristan Beck's role last year. So Roop was kind of a long man, and then at times he was only getting used for an inning or two late in games. So that really hurt him. So I think that's what some people's concern is. But
Yeah.
I think you kind of just got to see how it goes, because, again, you still have Kyle Harrison and you have Harrison Birdsong down in Sacramento. Let them get some starts in. And if Roop needs to, take a start off or two, then you do a phantom IL type stint for him, or you just say it's fatigue or whatever, or you send him down. I mean, they all have options. So
Yeah.
you have a lot of flexibility there. It doesn't mean Roop has to start every fifth day the entire, way through the season. I would fully anticipate both Harrison and Birdsong making multiple starts at some point in the year.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, and I was gonna say, and the new regime has made it a point for their minor league starters to get, extra work in, and not just do, 3-ish innings, give or take. They made it a point that they want to stretch out some of these starters and get them, their reps. So I think, if Rube continues on this upward trajectory and forces the Giants' hand to plug him into the 5th spot, it'll be beneficial for both, Kyle and Hayden to go down there, get stretched out, and get some legit work in. So, yeah, we'll see, man. That's the best thing I can say. We'll see.
I did want to go back to your point too, that like you're mentioning, it's still really early in spring. We're only a couple weeks in. They kind of worked both Harrison and Birdsong in slowly. They only gave them each 2 innings for their first appearance. And then last week, or just a few days ago, we saw, Harrison get a start in there. But while Harrison did struggle mightily in that first inning he pitched, I did like what they did with him, where in spring training, if you start a game, you can re-enter later on. So what they did was they took him out, sat down with him, talked to him about what he's doing wrong, and then they threw him right back in there in the second inning, and he had a nice inning. He went, I believe, 1, 2, 3, or if not, he was very efficient in that second inning when he came back in. So that was nice to see. But again, obviously the velo is still concerning with him. You need to see him get up around 92 to 94, in my opinion, because his fastball is an elite pitch, but only if his velo is in a normal range for what we'd expect out of him. 92 or 90 to 92 out of Harrison is way too low, especially when his off-speed stuff isn't on. And his fastball is always going to be his strength regardless. So you need that velo up a little bit. So main thing for me is we've got about 3 starts out of each of these 3 guys, and that's ultimately what we're going to be going off of. So there is plenty of time for things to completely change, but I wouldn't expect Roop to start struggling out of nowhere anytime soon. He looks really locked in right now.
Yeah, he does. It's great to see. And to your point about the velocity from Harrison, which would kind of lead me into a positive with the rotation. If you want to compare velocities, Justin Verlander at 45 years old topped out at what, 96 the other day? Like
Just
that's
literally just a hair
yeah,
under 97.
yeah,
And
that's
he was sitting around 94 to 95. So that's very encouraging to see. I know a lot of people were kind of down on that signing, and I was a little bit skeptical at first until I looked a little bit more into what he's done the last couple years. And just 2 seasons ago, he was very good for the Astros, especially in the second half. It was more so last year; he was just hurt the entire year. But I mean, there's no reason to believe that he's just going to be hurt all again this year. He said he's come in and he feels really healthy, the healthiest he's been in a while. And I mean, the velo numbers are backing that up, and he looks solid. I mean, he just tossed 4 innings and gave up 1 run, I think not until that 4th inning. And he had 4 strikeouts to go along with it, and he was pretty efficient. So I'm really encouraged with what we're seeing out of pretty much all the starters outside of Harrison right now.
yeah, dude. I mean, Webb, we know we're gonna get a Webb. I don't really take his spring, I don't look into it that deep. Last year, I think
No.
he had like a near 12 ERA, and then when it was just phenomenal in the regular season. So
I think the
I don't.
last 2 years.
Yeah, he's not a spring training guy, but whatever. But no, just what we've seen out of like we touched on right now with Verlander, but even Robbie Ray as well. He looks sharp.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if you can get that kind of production out of your top 3 in the rotation, and then let the competition for the 5 spot play out between the 3 of them. If Roop keeps it up, you're great. You're probably going to get some solid numbers from your 5th starter, and then just you get what you get with Hicks. I mean, this has if all goes well and everyone stays healthy, this has the potential to be, in my opinion, a top 10 rotation.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and I've kind of said the same thing about their bullpen as well. I'm a really big believer in the entire pitching staff this year. I think one thing that they have this year that they lacked, honestly, the last couple of seasons is depth. I think, last year the depth was horrible. I mean, we all remember at one point in the season, our rotation was literally Webb and then kind of Johnny Holstaff every day, where you're literally having an opener and then you're just kind of playing it by ear the rest of the way almost every single day, and that just taxes your whole staff. And the guys that were coming in, even for spot starts, weren't guys that were necessarily ready. I mean, Birdsong was lighting it up in the minors, and he didn't come up until way later in the season. And even then, nobody really expected him to make a big league appearance last year. He kind of came out of nowhere doing that. So you kind of had random guys like Dalton Jeffries and all sorts of guys coming in out of nowhere, and they're just plain and simple not big league starters. And now this year you have, like we said, three young guys that have a ton of promise and actually have legitimate big league experience now in Harrison, Roop, and Birdsong. So you figure 2 of those guys aren't going to make the rotation, but then you have 2 guys waiting in the wings. The second somebody gets hurt or needs to take a start off, you immediately have 1 of 2 guys to come in. And that's not even including guys like, Mason Black, who's got a little bit of experience. He's struggled so far. And then you have Carson Wisenhunt down there as well. So you have options. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I think there's a lot more reason for optimism, at least with the rotation.
No. I remember the 3 of us would get pissed last year. We're just like, dude, there's no depth. Like, bro, another bullpen game. Oh, you're going to gas the bullpen by May. Like, we were getting legit frustrated with it.
Not only was there no depth, but then you're experimenting with Jordan Hicks as a starter and relying on him as like your number 3. You had Alex Cobb, who early on in spring hurt his hip, and I told everybody, do not expect this guy to pitch for a long time. And then what happened? He basically was a non-factor. And then Robbie Ray coming off of Tommy John, and again, that was another one, very predictable. You should almost expect nothing at all other than, a couple basically rehab starts in the big leagues out of a guy like that. That's just how it goes. And that's why I'm kind of a lot higher on Robbie Ray this year, because that's usually what it takes for guys to get their control back and get that feel back. It's a very significant injury for pitchers. And a lot of times throwing your off speed stuff, it takes a while to get that feel back when you're coming off of that surgery. So definitely a lot more encouraging seeing all these guys light it up this year. And these are actual proven names. These aren't, again, Dalton Jeffries and these random guys, and even, Spencer Bivens and all these guys that are kind of journeyman type arms. Like, these are Cy Young winners and future Hall of Famers mixed in with, high upside younger arms. So definitely have to be encouraged by that. And, we'll talk about the pen a little bit later too, but there's a ton of promise in the pen too. And a couple spots still open for competition as well.
No, even just, looking at last year, the one bright spot, if you're looking, comparing all aspects of the team, whether it's, offense, defense, starting pitching, relief pitching, etc., the one bright spot was the bullpen. So, it's one of those things where now it's kind of been more established. Now you got guys, firmly set in their roles. Bill Mel's already came out and said Miller's the closer. Now you can kind of go into a full off season with a game plan with a solidified bullpen and just kind of let them do their thing. And Tristan Beck, who might, make a crack at it, who's finally, back and healthy and he's into in the spring, like we've touched on with Mason Black, Doval, hopefully he's kind of got his mind right. The pen has a lot of promise to be just as dominant. Now, will it be a little bit different with no Taylor Rogers? Possibly. But if Doval can maybe slide into that Taylor Rogers-esque role as far as being like in your 7th or 8th inning guy and go into Miller in, either earlier before that and then have Ryan Walker at the end, it's got a ton of promise.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference this year is just having these veteran pitchers that know how to go the distance in games and can actually give you 6 or 7 innings when you need it. I mean, you're getting that out of Webb, and I'm very confident that if Verlander is healthy this year, and so far he is, that he'll be able to give you 6 or 7 quite often. And I think the same thing out of Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray may not be the type of guy that's going to give you 7 shutout innings every 5th day, but I'm pretty confident that he's a guy that can give you a quality start and go 6 or 7 and keep you in ball games. And, in the long run, that's ultimately what wins games, especially in these cold night games at home, because I've said it many other times, you're playing in these 2-1, 3-2, 4-3 type ball games. And ultimately, when you have your starters going the distance time in and time out throughout the season and your pen is consistently fresh, it gives you such an upper hand when other teams aren't able to do that, because you have access to all your best arms late in games that can shut it down for you and buy you an inning or two for your lineup to catch up and get to the top of your lineup and go and get in, that key run, late in the game when you're tied 1-1 or 2-2 or whatever it may be. So all those things really add up and help you, win those close games that the Giants haven't been as good at finishing the last few years.
Yeah. Yeah. And to Aaron's point about Hicks, I mean, I don't think myself personally, I can't speak on behalf of Ricky or Cody, but I don't think a lot of us were fans of the Hicks signing, because Jordan Hicks's scouting report was essentially that his biggest weapon is his velocity, because he was known, for years with St. Louis that, he can hit 100 plus with ease. And that's not sustainable for a starting pitcher, especially for one, like him with his background and whatnot. And so when they first said that they were, signing him, bringing him in for this experiment to become a starter, I was like, I don't think that's going to work out. You're trying to change up his game, change up what he's accustomed to, turn him into something that he's not. I understand he wanted to do it, but it kind of blew up in their face last year. Granted, he had a great start of the year, but then, as expected, when you're trying to stretch out a closer essentially in a starting pitcher role, I mean, he's going to get fatigued way too quick, and that's what happened, and it just kind of imploded. So I I hope that he made some changes. Apparently, he changed his physique and his conditioning so he can, try to hold up and last a full season with the starting pitcher's workload. But I mean, I'll be overjoyed to get 115 innings out of him with a sub 4 ERA as a starter. I'll be happy as can be. So I'm not gonna hope for anything more than that. If it happens, great, awesome, cool. You got a solid ass, number 4, but I'm not gonna, let my not gonna put all my eggs in one basket with him.
Yeah, and the thing is with him, he has the stuff. His off speed is quality as well. We all know he can get the strikeout when he needs to, but the thing is he needs to change his mindset too. It's not just building up for the workload as a starter, but it's changing his mindset and how he attacks hitters. As a relief pitcher, you have a little bit more ability to go and maybe you have an open base to play with and you're not going to give in to a hitter. But as a starter, you need to learn to give into contact a little bit more. You can't be looking to strike every guy out. If you have an 0-2 count and you want to throw one in the other batter's box, so be it. But when you have a 2-2 count, like, it's time to attack guys, have them put the ball in play if they need to. You have a great weapon in your 102 mile an hour fastball, but you can take it down a couple notches. You can throw it 97, hit the knees, hit the corners, and let them put the ball in play and see what they can do with it. Test the hitters. I mean, more often than not, these guys are going to get themselves out. You play on in a great pitcher's ballpark. At night, good luck giving up a ton of home runs if you're keeping the ball down. And just trust your stuff more than anything, because that's how you get through, start after start with, efficient pitch counts. That's how do we think Logan Webb does it? He gets himself into trouble and he keeps the ball down, gets a double play, and gets out of jams all the time. And that's how you get, through 7 innings with 100 pitches. But too often times, Hicks last year would get himself way ahead, with 2 strikes in an account, and then he would just refuse to give in to the hitter, and he's just making uncompetitive pitches, and these guys are working counts full, and he puts himself in these bad positions and ends up giving up hits, or he ends up walking too many guys and gets himself into trouble. And when you're gassing yourself out after 4 innings, it's like, you can't afford to give up 2 runs. Like, that's not a good start at all.
Yeah.
So I really hope his mindset has changed in that regard, because if it hasn't, it's going to be another 2 months before we're already all going to agree that he's going to need to get booted to the pen again, because you got to get more than 4 innings to start out of him. I argued like hell with fans last year about Hicks, not being efficient enough to be a starter. And everybody said, oh, well, his ERA is in the 3s and, he's giving 5 innings here and there. And it's like, okay, well, when has he ever given 6 or 7 innings? It's like, that's what the standard needs to be, not him gassing out after 4 innings and not being able to get through a lineup, a second and third time. It's the same thing we dealt with guys like Alex Wood too. It's like, those guys are no good in the long haul, because what happens when you hit the dog days of August and, Logan Webb's gassed out and you can't rely on him one time through the rotation to give you innings. And then next thing you know, you have your guy in the rotation coming up and he's giving you 3-4 innings and your bullpen's already taxed.
Yeah.
It's, so like I said, I really hope he's made that adjustment.
Yeah. One of the things I was kind of, thinking as like a theory with Jordan Hicks last year is, to your point, where his best arsenal was his velocity. And it seemed like he was kind of overthrowing at times, especially when he was already dealing with some fatigue, knowing that, okay, I'm a strikeout pitcher. My best weapon is, my velocity. I'm going to just throw as hard as I can. And it kind of impacted his command, as you said, get into a lot of those 3-2 counts, get into a lot of walks, get into high pitches by like the third inning and then be pulled. So I think, like you said, it's a mixture of both. Like I touched on with him apparently changing his conditioning in addition with what you pointed out with his mindset. If he can get both of those clicking, you have, like I touched on, the potential to be a top 10 rotation easily, especially if the trio of Webb, Ray, and Verlander with this, resurgence of Group kind of all goes out and, goes as planned with what you're seeing so far. If you can get that kind of quality out of Hicks as well, it'll be a really good rotation in my opinion. Plus the addition of a pretty solid bullpen. So there's a lot of upside apparently compared to last year. So yeah, I just don't want to see any more bullpens getting completely gassed by before even the All-Star break. That's just, we've seen enough of that last couple of years.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Hey, Jen, I see you're on X watching the live. Appreciate it. If you are interested in hopping into our giveaway, we're going to be giving away a Patrick Bailey bobblehead, but you do have to be subbed on YouTube and in the stream, and you'll be entered in if you're interested. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
I did, before we move on from the rotation, I did want to see what your thoughts were on Robbie Ray's new changeup that he learned from Tarek Skubal.
Well, firstly, I love how he reached out to Skubal to get. Apparently, they actually FaceTimed so he can kind of show him the grip, give him some pointers and tips, and it seems to be as a pretty good weapon in his arsenal. So, I love it. I hope he continues to let it grow because right now he's got like what, maybe 2 or 3 primary pitches up his sleeve.
He's usually a 2-pitch guy, a breaking ball and a fastball usually. So that was his big thing. And I mean, it's cool that he's still willing to, learn and add to his arsenal, especially this late into his career. And I mean, he looked great. So I'm really excited to see how he looks his next couple starts here in spring.
What I was going to say is I think that also speaks numbers to how he's feeling physically. Because, him being now almost 2 years removed from Tommy John, and, he was coming back and full of rust at the end of last year once he came back, which as you were saying that there's really not much to be expected from him when he came back last season. So I think that just speaks numbers about how healthy and how good he's feeling physically. And his whole thing was he wanted to be less predictable. So I think coming in with that, breaking ball, fastball, and changeup combo now, it can be nasty. So I'm just hoping that he stays healthy all season because that can be a super, super good quality pitch. And especially just as a hitter, if you're going up against a guy who's got 2 pitches up his sleeve, okay, I'm either going to see, depending on, the exit point in his delivery, I'm either going to be seeing a breaking ball or I'm going to see a fastball. Now, when you're just adding that number 3 pitch in there, it's a whole different, mind game as a hitter at the plate, not really knowing what to expect. It's no longer a 50-50 chance. So I don't know. That'll be a really good weapon. So I just think a combination of him having less pressure, with the more solidified rotation, with now a new pitch up his arsenal, with being 2 years removed from Tommy John, and being a little bit more comfortable with the team. Obviously, they got great chemistry going on. So I don't know. I'm excited for Robbie Ray. A lot of people, like you mentioned, were pretty critical about it last year when we brought him on. So I'm personally pretty excited to see how he does. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that move. And I like you mentioned, even for him being a veteran, being, former Cy Young Award winner, I think it's super cool that he reached out to Tarek Skubal just to, get some tips and pointers, especially at this late in Dana's career. So no, I'm all for it.
And I think it'll help him out a ton. Um, I mean, he does throw a curveball as well, but being
Pretty rare.
mostly a fastball slider guy, it's all hard stuff. And while I mean a lot of guys can get by with just those two pitches, we saw last year, even though he was coming fresh off Tommy John surgery, that he at times really struggled with the command on that pitch. And the thing is, you really make like you said, you really make yourself predictable when you're coming at somebody with just a fastball and a breaking ball, because then you're just looking for two completely different speeds and the spin is completely different. But, if he's adding in a changeup to that mix, it's going to keep guys guessing way more because, you know, if you master the changeup, that is often a pitch that you can kind of throw just like a fastball where you can trust it in a bunch of different counts. And it's one of those things that's incredibly deceptive to guys that are looking for fastballs. So just having that speed difference, I think, is going to be a huge deal. Because like I said, he doesn't throw his curve quite as much as he does the slider. So just having another offering there would be huge. And I mean, his velo looked pretty good in that last start too. So I think there's plenty of reason to be encouraged by that start. Now, I think with him and Verlander, it's just kind of waiting and seeing how they follow up on those starts and see if their velo consistently stays up or if like any kind of fatigue starts setting in or command issues, particularly with Ray. But yeah, it was very interesting to see him add that pitch in there so late into his career, but we'll be looking forward to actually seeing that live.
Yeah, big fan of him, man. So yeah, there's a lot of positives to take out of spring so far, and those are just a few pointers we want to touch on. Since we are on the topic of competitions, though, I do want to dive into this comment here. And before I do so, just a reminder, everyone, if you're watching and lurking, I know we're pushing about 100 people watching this. Hop over to YouTube, leave a comment. You'll be entered immediately into the giveaway. We'll be running that here in probably 20, 30 minutes. So go ahead and do that if you want to get entered. And it's going to be a Patrick Bailey bobblehead. But next topic I wanted to dive into, which is one that we mentioned briefly earlier. It's going to be the Casey Schmidt versus Brett Wisely competition for the backup infielder / utility role. They've been having pretty similar springs. Obviously, Casey has the edge with the power. He's got a couple bombs going on. Wisely has the edge being a lefty, and the Giants are pretty are pretty light on lefties when it comes to the bats. So it's shaping out to be a really good competition, honestly. The three of us, we've all been really high on Casey, especially. He has, as Cody's mentioned before, just gold glove level defense, especially at third base. He's mentioned to Cody personally that he's very, very comfortable at second. He played a little bit at shortstop, probably not his best position. I'd say he's more of a third baseman or second baseman, but he's definitely more than capable of holding his own defensively. He's got a ton of upside with the bat. Does have a lot of swing and miss. We've touched on that. He's definitely improved compared to his first little taste of big league action. Cody has gone to war on X about that. So he's been on an upward trajectory and he's carried that over into spring. He's having a really solid spring. Wisely, on the other hand, he's got, I don't know the specific numbers. I'm sure you do, Ricky. You're the numbers guy. He's got quite a few hits. Like I touched on, he bats lefty. That's something the Giants desperately need. So that's where he's got his edge coming from. But now I just want to get your thoughts on how this competition's shaking out. Who you think is, in the lead and who do you think ultimately ends up winning it?
Yeah, I mean, it's so early in spring. It's a little bit hard to project, but if I had to take a guess, I would think purely because of the role that they're fighting for, that Wisely would be the one to make the opening day roster, just because he has less of the swing and miss. And I think Wisely would be the one better suited for a backup role, specifically at second base behind Fitz. Assuming Fitz stays healthy, he just returned from an injury, by the way. But the thing is with Wisely, so far he's hitting 353 in spring over just 17 at bats, so extremely small sample size as all these are. But he's hitting mostly singles, doesn't have any home runs, just has the one RBI. And while Casey has 8 more at bats than Wisely does, and he's only hitting a 240 average, Casey has almost the exact same OPS as Wisely, but Casey's got 2 home runs and 3 doubles. So Casey's doing a lot more damage at the plate when he is making contact. His numbers got driven down a little bit because his first couple games he appeared in, he was racking up a ton of strikeouts. I think he had 5 strikeouts through his first 3 games, but that number's come way down and leveled out. Now Casey's right in line with guys like Wade and Yaz as far as strikeouts go, but he's doing as much damage as anybody else on the roster. So you're seeing the team give him a ton of opportunity. I do think that it might be the best for Casey to start at, say, third base or second down in Sacramento until there's more full-time, playing ability for him at the big league level. Now, we all know that they've pretty much said Fitz is solidified in the second base job, and we're going to see a lot more Fitz here shortly. Like I said, he just came back from nursing a little injury, so I think the further we get into spring, we're going to see him start a lot more games. So, yeah, like I said, I think Wisely, just because less of the swing and miss, I think he'll end up making the opening day roster, and then they'll have Casey play more down in Sac and get consistent at bats. Because his development's a little bit more important, in my opinion, than Wisely's. Because, I mean, Casey is a guy, I think we've all said it, that could very well end up taking over second base if Fitz does struggle this year. Fitz had a great season last year, but the league did start to kind of adjust to him late in the season. And if he doesn't adjust back, we might see that window open for Casey to come in and try to prove himself.
See, it's tough because Casey's in a weird spot, because I genuinely feel like he would be a pretty solid starter on like a rebuilding team.
Yeah.
But I think he's better suited for third base, and obviously third base is blocked. And like you touched on, Wisely is better suited to be a backup. Casey's better suited to be a starter, but I think Casey's kind of blocked off. So by default, with the needs on this current team, Wisely makes more sense. So it's just a weird position for Casey to be in. And honestly, if you want to get the best out of Casey, like Tom just said, you play him every day in Sacramento and have him continue to work on, correcting a lot of that swing and miss. But Casey's best route to the big league club at this time and with the Giants is going to be an injury. As sad as that is to say, we don't want injuries, but that's really going to be the only way that he, starts getting some regular season playing time until, September call-ups. So it's, I don't know, it's tough. He's in a weird place. Like Cody said, he doesn't want to go to Sac. He wants to be in the big league club. He's kind of blocked there. He's not, what he brings is not necessarily the need on the team at this time, which is a backup second baseman primarily. So yeah, it's tough.
And I think had the Astros not made that trade for Kyle Tucker, sending him to Chicago and getting James Tibbs' college teammate Cam Smith, in that deal, Cam Smith is a third baseman. If anybody hasn't seen, he's absolutely tearing up spring training pitching right now and soared through the minors last year after getting drafted.
Yeah.
I think he finished off in Double-A last year. If they didn't get him, honestly, I thought Casey would have been a perfect fit in Houston, having that short porch in left field.
Sure.
I think Casey would have hit a ton of bombs over there, even if maybe he was hitting only like 220. I think he would have been a great fit in Houston. And I know they're not a rebuilding team per se, but I think that would have been a great opportunity for him over there. And there's a few other teams too. And the thing is, like you said, Casey Schmidt plays gold glove level defense at third base. Like, I have no doubts in my mind that he could win one in the next couple of years if he had a starting job somewhere.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to the swing and miss with him. I mean, he has a ton of upside because of his power. It's just if he can keep that down, he very well might force his way into eventually taking over second base in San Francisco this year. So that would be cool to see, although I'm not wishing anything bad on Fitz, but I think we're all on the same page. We're all really big Casey Schmidt fans, and it would be cool to see.
Yeah, we're all big Tyler Fitzgerald fans too, but the reality of it is that, and it's something a lot of fans choose to ignore for some reason, is that Fitz's numbers at the end of last season were quite frankly awful, just to keep it, a buck with you guys. He was hitting what? It was like 180, 190 around there in the last several weeks of the season. Like Ricky mentioned, it seemed like the league had kind of caught up to him a bit. And then he got injured, early in the offseason. So he's still a little rusty, and coming, back in the spring, we're going to see a lot more of him. But if that 180, batting that he was showing, if that trend continues throughout the early part of the season, there's going to be some difficult conversations that might come up. And it's just something that, like Ryan just said, that Fitz needs to show that he can readjust. The league catches up to him and makes adjustments. He's got to make some adjustments too. So, yeah, it'll be tough. Like you said, I think Fitz definitely has the starting second baseman job locked up, but he's got to readjust and, show that, as Cody says, the Tyler, Lamar, Bonds, Fitzgerald, batting that we saw wasn't just a fluke. So, we'll see how it all shakes up. But yeah, there's a lot of spring left. They're already starting to make some cuts. We saw Bryce get sent down.
Luciano
gets sent down. Mason Black, forever giant, absolute legend, Kai Tang. A handful of more get sent down. So you're going to start seeing cuts happen, and you're going to start seeing the competitions, get more and more intense. So that backup one is definitely a competition that we've seen take off early in spring, and that'll continue throughout the rest of the month. But another one that I'm very passionate about is the Gerard Encarnacion versus Wilmer Flores for the DH spot. As you guys have probably already seen, Gerard is absolutely killing it this spring. The power numbers are insane. I believe he's leading the club in RBIs, and he's leading the league, or he's up there with the league so far in spring in RBIs. Just absolutely crushing the ball. Wilmer wasn't really doing much. He had one hit, one RBI, and it was a home run. And then he, did something in his last couple of games. Who cares? But yeah, there's a competition there for the DH role. And some experts, so-called experts, are saying that Wilmer's pretty much got the platoon job locked up with Wade, and that kind of guarantees him, a spot at DH. And so they're saying Gerard might be more of like a, backup outfielder or a DH type role. But quite frankly, I would much rather have Gerard taken Wilmer's spot entirely. He's shown the versatility defensively with him being able to play the outfield and play first. He's shown with the bat that he can excel as a DH. And I don't know. You guys know how I feel about Wilmer. Fans love him. Don't really know why. But Harar, in my opinion, brings so much more to the plate and in the field, brings much more pop. I don't know. Me personally, if there's a competition that's going on, which there's apparently is, Harar is winning, 10 times out of 10. So he just has that much higher of a ceiling in all aspects of his game. So I don't know. I want to see Harar as the DH slash platoon first baseman, but I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I personally would like to see Harar starting almost every game at first base just to get a ton of reps there. But I will say I don't think there's any way that Harar is, if things continue just on the path they're going right now, I don't see any way that guy is not making in the opening day roster. I will say, I mean, I know last year they were throwing him in right field a lot. I don't really care for that too much. Maybe throw him in left a little bit, but I do want to see them throw him in at first base a little bit more. But he's absolutely mashing. I think we're looking at a situation where it's going to be, like you said, Wade and Wilmer in a righty-lefty platoon at first, and then you're going to see Harar possibly be more like a full-time DH because that spot was completely open for competition, and he's really the only one actually running away with it. And he's a guy with the exit velocities that he produces. He needs to be in the lineup because that's a guy that could legitimately hit 30 home runs in a season without a doubt. Big time power to all fields too. I mean, I've seen him go to right field in the minors a good amount, and he goes to center. He got his first home run the other day in Glendale against the Dodgers and went dead center. That was a pretty impressive swing, and the guy's hitting 360 on the spring right now, and he's almost tied for the lead in at bats for the Giants. So it's not in like some tiny little sample size or anything. The guy's playing just about every other day, so he's doing really good. And then, like you said, as of just a couple of days ago, he was tied for the MLB lead in RBIs between the Cactus League and the Grapefruit League over on the East Coast. So he's absolutely raking right now.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I really liked what Harar did at the end of last season, and he's kind of proven this spring that it's not a fluke and that he's legit. So in my opinion, you got to find a way to get that guy in your lineup on almost a daily basis. Now, I know there's mixed reports in the offseason about how Boma and Co didn't really want to have a full-time DH, and they wanted to kind of rotate that DH spot. And then it came out before spring training that there's a DH competition between Wilmer and Harar. So that's why we're having this conversation. But in my opinion, you have to find a way to get that bat in your lineup, especially being a team that has been near the bottom in offensive ranks for the last couple of years. Like, if you got a guy with that much thump, with that much pop, you have to find a way to get him in your lineup as many games as possible. So, I don't know. I would love to see him be an everyday DH and then kind of fill in at first and outfield if need be. Like I said, he just brings a lot more versatility to the team than what Wilmer brings you. And Larry says Wilmer hit 23 home runs. That's why he's
and 21 were solo shots.
Yeah, literally. So I don't know, man, but yeah, I hope Harar makes the team. I'm pretty sure he will, but I hope that he gets like a consistent role. And then I just want to touch on, since we're on the topic of pop, this team has shown a ton of pop this spring. Like, you're getting it from all sorts of guys. You had Chappie hit 2 the other day. You have Jung Hoo Lee, who's got 2 in the spring so far.
Mhm.
Like we touched on Harar, Casey, like you're getting power from this team, which is kind of unheard of. So I don't know, man. I don't know if something's changed as far as hitting philosophy is concerned, but it's been a sight for sore eyes to see a lot of these guys, start boosting up the power numbers this early in spring.
Yeah. Willie just hit his first one the other day. I believe Yaz has 2. Chappie has 3. Casey Schmidt has 2. Jung Lee has 2. Harar has the 1. Who else? Luciano hit one, a monster shot off the batter's eye in center against the Angels the first week of spring. Yeah, I mean, just about up and down the lineup, you're seeing it from all ends. Wilmer has one. Yeah, so it's been nice to see. Obviously, it's down in Arizona. You are playing in a little bit smaller stadiums for the most part. Although some of them have been to dead center, where center field's actually quite a bit deeper than what it is at Oracle. Yeah, Ryan says McRae hit one. Bryce hit one on the first or second day of spring. Yeah, you're seeing it from pretty much all ends, which is really nice to see. I mean, obviously you do have to take spring training hitting numbers with a grain of salt at times, but obviously it's what you want to see. All the guys you want to see contribute are doing that. Jung Hoo Lee, like Harar, is doing really good. He's got a few at bats shy of what Harar's got. 20 at bats, he's hitting 400. Like I said, with the 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, he's got a 1200 OPS. So that's obviously pretty good, right? Willie's hitting really good. He's got 19 at bats with a 368 average. He does have just the 1 home run, but he's hit a ton of singles. He's got 5 RBIs, and his OPS is just under 1,000. So you're seeing a lot of the guys you want to see hit well really produce. Chappie's got a 462 average, only 13 at bats, but I mean the 3 home runs is encouraging. I mean, we've talked about the possibility of him hitting 30 home runs this year, and if he's going to do it, that's the way to do it. I mean, last year he didn't get started until late into spring because of signing late, so maybe this is the year that he does it.
Yeah, I do want to emphasize how you pointed out with Jung Hoo Lee. To a couple points with that. Firstly, he obviously seems healthy. I mean, that was a big concern, especially with it being a shoulder injury where he had the labrum tear. He's clearly healthy, as you can see with the bat. And then secondly, do you remember last year, there were so many, quote unquote, real fans and experts and whatnot just saying how Jung Hoo Lee struggles with velocity. Jung Hoo Lee can't hit the fastball, blah, blah. Well, he's been doing it this spring. So all naysayers, I don't know what you think about that. But now he looks phenomenal, though. And a lot of, projections were like, oh, he might get like, 12, 13 home runs. But I genuinely think he can be a guy that pushes 15, 20.
Yeah, for sure. And to answer Ryan's question, Lee so far has 5 strikeouts through 8 games, 20 at bats. So, I mean, right around what you'd expect, nothing too crazy. I mean, he's a guy that you'd think of making a little bit more contact. So hopefully that number or that percent comes down a little bit. He's got a 25% strikeout rate right now. I'm not too worried about it, especially if the guy's hitting bombs and looking really comfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's also, like you said, he's talked about, getting his stolen base numbers up this year. That would be very much welcome. You add in if he actually comes through and starts swiping a bunch of bags this year, you've got Willie, who steals a fair amount of bags. We obviously know Fitz will steal a ton of bags. And then now all of a sudden you got a handful of guys that can actually swipe some bags for you. And that's something we've really wanted to see. So I'm definitely hoping he's worked on that, because he's definitely got the speed to do it. It's just a matter of getting good jumps and getting good leads. And, really studying these pitchers' tendencies and just getting comfortable, because last season in the short sample size we saw, he didn't really look super comfortable stealing bases. And if Lee does end up hitting in the leadoff spot, it'd be really nice to get to see that and kind of eliminate any double play opportunities whenever he can.
Yeah, great. And the guy we haven't really even talked about tonight that Cody just pointed out, Luis Matos. I mean, he's having a great spring. Like Cody just said, he's got 1 strikeout in 26 at bats. He's making solid contact, even when he's, getting out, quote unquote. He's still just hitting the ball hard. I don't know, man. I've been vocal about it, especially on X, how I've wanted Matos to start it right over Yaz, which probably won't happen, but he's definitely making a case to make the opening day team. And he's carrying in that momentum from the Venezuelan League in December into spring. So I don't know. I like to see him, smack a couple over the fence, but he's been really impressive too. So he's having a pretty sneaky good spring for sure.
Yeah, one home run and 2 doubles so far. He actually got, who was it against, the Padres the other day?
Mm-hmm.
He actually got robbed of a hit, and Jason Hayward was out and left and slid and made a nice shoestring type catch. But Matos he's looking good. 308 average. He's been really solid. I mean, and the contact is always going to be there. He's good about that. It's always just a matter of good pitch selection. And again, I know Cody's talked about this a ton already, but I would really like to see him get his walk numbers up a little bit. I don't want him to change his approach necessarily, but I would like to see him get his walk numbers up a little bit. He's right up there with the team lead in at bats with 26, right in line with guys like Harrar and Casey Schmidt. So no walks so far. I definitely like to see that number come up, but obviously when a guy's only got 1 strikeout, at least that's not a concern. But I do think if he wants to have some staying power in the league, he's going to need to get some walks here and there too, because if you're a guy that's never walking, it really puts a lot of pressure on you to hit for either a nice average or be hitting a ton of doubles and home runs when you are making contact. So I definitely think he makes the opening day roster. I think he's in some sort of timeshare platoon type role with Yaz and in right or left field. I would really like to see him get a chance to be playing full time though, because I think that's really where we're going to see him take off. And I think it's time. I mean, Yaz is in a contract year. I personally would like to just see them trade Yaz, because, we've seen Matos for the last couple of seasons now. I think it's time. Let's take off the training wheels. Let's see what Matos has got and give him full run and show him, hey, we've got confidence in you. You've done really good in the last 2 springs. You've worked really hard. Let's see what you got. The job is yours now. Go out there and prove that we don't need to bring in somebody else or call up Luciano or something like that.
No, 100%. And Ziggy, you just described Yaz's career basically, where you say he was doing horrible and just hit 2 random home runs. That's what he does on an average year, bro. Especially if you're going based off months, he'll have a 3-4 month stretch of just mediocrity, and then September comes and he hits 7 home runs, and then ends the year with 18, and fans think he's the second coming of Jesus Christ. So I don't know. Yeah.
And Yaz is one of those guys. Every year I watch his average dip under 200, and he gets down to 195. And then every time he hits that mark, when we're just absolutely done with him and you think the team's finally going to get rid of him, he gets that nicely timed little hot streak that gets him back up to 220, 230. And then it just starts to dip right back down again every single time. You watch, if he stays on the team this season, it's going to happen. And then obviously the typical, 5 home runs in 2 weeks when the team's already been eliminated from the postseason. It kills me. And it's not that I don't want to see the guy do well. Of course I do. He's on our
Of
team.
course.
But the issue is that you're doing it when it doesn't matter. Like when we need you to come through and be a productive starter on the team, you're not doing it. And then you're inflating your numbers to buy yourself more time. It happens every time with this guy. I specifically remember, I want to say in 2022, Yaz was like on the verge of being sent down to the minors, which he still has options, believe it or not, to get sent down. And he had one nice hot series at Coors Field, and it saved his job.
Yeah.
And it's just every time the guy has impeccable timing when he wants to turn it on. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I've been adamant on X, especially when people come at me about it. It's like, dude, he's not the problem in your lineup, but he's not the solution. Like, he doesn't have a very high ceiling. What you get from him is 230 batting average, solid defense, 17 home runs, 50 RBIs. That doesn't elevate your team to the next level. And that's not going to get you out of this mediocre rut where the Giants have been for 3 years now. Like, there comes a point in time where you got to cut ties. You got to just look past all the emotions and all the fan favoritism and, focus on, okay, this is a position where we've been right in the middle. Let's see what we can do and what we have in house so we can take it to the next level. And I mean, if you give Matos a chance and he has a Ramos type season, that's elevating that position on your team, in my opinion. So I don't know. I hope they give Matos a chance. I think he has a higher ceiling, in my opinion. Probably a lower floor, but definitely a higher ceiling. And at this point in time, you're a team that's probably not going to compete. So what do you have to lose? See what you got with these young guys. They've already came out and said this is going to be a developmental year. Go ahead and prove it. And that's just where I stand with that. That's why I want Matos. That's why I want Harar. That's why I want to see Casey. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. I just feel like we've kind of been beating a dead horse for like 3 years on this guy now. And it just, at some point, something's got to give. And we finally got to just let some of these young guys take over, because we've seen, with Wade, Wilmer, and Yaz, what we're going to get out of them over the course of a 162 game season. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they're major league players without a doubt. It's just they're role players, and the Giants have overused them and not used them in the role that they should be used in. I mean, any one of those three guys go and they're on the Dodgers roster, they're going to play in super advantageous situations for them, and they're going to be solid contributors. It's the same thing with Michael Conforto going over to LA. He'll probably be really solid for them because they're not going to be starting him every single day through all the bumps in the road that he has, because he's a streaky player, just like these three. So it's time to just cut bait with these guys, move on. They were a part of a very mediocre era of Giants baseball, and it's time to move on because we know what they're bringing to the table. And unless you get rid of these guys, you're going to keep getting the same results where your team ends up finishing with 81 wins every year, because you're rolling out these same kind of players that are super inconsistent, and they're all getting older too. So
yeah,
time to move on.
The definition of insanity is you're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. With Yaz, Wilmer, and Wade especially, they're role players that you're thrusting into a cornerstone role on your ball club, and they're getting you to that 500 mark, but not taking you the next step further, and you're just being content with that. So, I mean, yes, Wade can definitely draw a walk. That's wonderful. That's about all he can do. So I don't know, man. Regardless, we as Giants fans have to accept this is going to be the last season we have with those three on the ball club. All their contracts are expiring, and they're definitely not going to be re-signed or extended. It's just the honest truth. So I'm in that minority who just wants to see them rip the Band-Aid off now rather than in 8 months, and let this be a full out developmental year. But they have different mindsets, so can't speak on behalf of the Giants, but that's my caveman take. So is what it is. But no, so guys, we're gonna be wrapping it up here shortly. If you're on X, hop over to YouTube, leave a comment. We are going to do the giveaway here momentarily. Just say whatever you want, and we'll get this going here in just a moment or two.
And make sure you guys are subscribed as well.
They can't comment unless they're subscribed, so they got to do it by default. So drop a sub, guys. Send it to Grandma. See if Grandma wants the Bailey bobblehead.
Couple other things I wanted to touch on real fast before we get into the giveaway. Giants did announce their roster for the spring breakout game. For those of you who don't know what that is last year they were supposed to do one. Basically, it's a game where they feature all of their or most of their top prospects. It's kind of a random combination of guys, both from last year's draft class and some of the international guys, all in one game where they go and do the same thing against another organization's, mostly top prospects. For this year, they're doing one on March 15th against the Rangers. It's going to be at Scottsdale Stadium, and the Giants are actually going to have a pretty nice group of prospects this year. So I would definitely encourage a lot of people to watch it. It's going to be part of a doubleheader where the big league team or the major league team, as of right now, plays the Mariners, and then right after, the Giants and Rangers will have their spring breakout rosters play each other. So that will be March 15th. It will be featuring Bryce Eldridge, Carson Whisenhunt, Trent Harris, Joe Whitman, Dakota Jordan, James Tibbs, Rainer Arias, Jacob Christian, Johnny Level, Jacob Christian, who we interviewed on here, Diego Velasquez, Walker Martin. So a lot of these guys we've talked about a ton. Former first-round pick Will Bednar is in there as well. So there's a ton of guys in there. It'll be a really exciting game, really fun roster this year. So it'd be a good chance if any of you guys would like to have an easy way to watch a lot of these guys in a game. We don't really know how they're going to manage the game and who's going to start or how many innings guys are going to go, but be a good chance to see both Bryce Eldridge and then guys like Whisenhunt, who we very well may see at the big league level this year. So just wanted to mention that in case anybody didn't catch that.
Yeah. I'm actually really excited for that game. It's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, last year's got rained out. That was super disappointing. And I honestly think this year's roster is going to be way more fun to watch than what we would have got last year anyways.
No, for sure. For sure.
And then one other thing I wanted to mention too, if anybody hadn't seen this yet, the MLB website released the Giants' updated top 30 prospects list. That is for basically preseason for the 2025 season. Obviously, we got Bryce Eldridge at the top, but got a lot of movement. Joshua Gonzalez, the Giants' top international signing this year, came in at number 3. He is not on the MLB's top 100 list yet, but that will be probably something we see in the next year or so once he actually gets a little bit closer to, stateside baseball, and probably like once he gets to San Jose, that's probably when we'll start seeing him get featured in the top 100. But
yeah,
Johnny Level, who Dan just mentioned, he made it into the top 5. He had a really good season down in the Dominican Summer League last year. He's a really nice player to watch. He was one of their top international signings just a couple seasons ago. Rainer Arias was top in the top 10. He was at number 8. Bo Davidson was 9. And Dakota Jordan was number 6. So you got a lot of interesting names in there. A lot of guys getting moved around. Jacob Christian, who we just mentioned, that we did an interview with in the past. Look that up if you guys would like to watch that. He came in at number 28 on the top 30. So got a lot of guys that were drafted last season making appearances in there. Definitely encourage anybody interested in the prospects checking that out. They also did release their farm system rankings for the season. They had the Giants come in at 28th. I completely disagree with that list. Just knowing a lot about a lot of these guys, I think there's a lot more upside that deserves, being recognized higher than 28th in the league. So
yeah.
Like Ryan said, farm system is very underrated. A lot of it, honestly, man, is our farm system production wise didn't really produce a ton last year. You had Tibbs, who got drafted and only had a short stint in the minors last year, and he kind of struggled once he got to Eugene. But he's a guy who could easily bounce back. You have a high upside guy like Dakota Jordan, who could easily be a top 100 prospect if he has a nice season this year. You got Johnny Level. He could easily be a top 100 guy if he ends up doing well either in the complex league or at San Jose. You got tons of guys in there, honestly. Wisenhunt is a guy who, if he spends enough time in the minors, he could sneak back into the lower end of the top 100. Joe Whitman is a guy that he's a nice lefty arm for the Giants who could easily be in the top 100. He's probably going to be in Richmond this year.
Yeah.
You got a lot of upside in there that the Giants aren't really getting credit for. Rainer Arias, he's another guy who could eventually be a top 100 guy, but he was hurt for so much of last year that he didn't really get a chance to help boost their system. So there's just a ton of guys in there that I don't think the Giants are getting the credit they deserve for having in their system. So anybody that's kind of down on, what we've been drafting and developing the last couple of years, I would just suggest be patient. Don't buy too much into MLB's rankings. I feel like they end up being wrong a ton when it comes to these rankings. I like following, like Baseball America a lot more. And other sites like that, I feel like they do a little bit deeper dive on some of these guys rather than just looking at, just some basic stats.
Yeah, a lot of these really polarizing prospects the Giants have are in a lot of the lower levels. So I think that's kind of why it's weighted the way that it is. So like Ricky said, here in a couple years, you're going to start seeing a lot of those lower end prospects move up in the farm, and then I think you'll really see the rankings kind of pop from there. So, a ton of guys to be excited about. So, I'm looking forward to next week. That game's going to be fun.
Oh yeah.
All right, but I think that's all I had. Did you have anything else you wanted to touch on? Or you want to dive into the Givey?
No, let's dive into the giveaway. I just wanted to throw some love out there to the prospects and
rightfully so.
Keep them updated on what's going on there. That spring breakout game will be a ton of fun to watch. It'll be super fun to watch. So I would definitely check that out. It is going to be a night game though.
Yeah. Tom, we're definitely shallow at catcher in the system.
Yeah.
I really like the Sam Huff move. I feel like he can be a quality backup as far as the major league level is concerned, but they definitely, in my opinion, need to go and draft a catcher early in this upcoming draft.
Yeah.
So that's that. But yeah, they definitely got to address that. But all right, giveaway time, guys. We're going to do it in about 60, 90 seconds. So if you're on X, hop over to YouTube. If you're on YouTube, just lurk. And we have like 120, 130 people in here. Drop a comment, literally say anything that you want, and you'll automatically be entered into the giveaway. You have to be present on the live and in the chat once I begin the giveaway, or you will be removed from it just by default. I don't make the rules. But yeah, get your last comments in, whatever you got to say, just to be ensured that you're in, and we'll roll it here in a second. Anything that you want? There you go, Ziggy. So you guys can probably see it. We got 27 entries in, so keep just getting your last comments in there. Whatever you guys got to say. Yelling, pick me.
Yeah, get in there, guys. It's that easy.
Yeah,
only 27 entries, and we got over 100 people in here. All you guys got to do is subscribe on YouTube and comment. It's that easy.
I could have customized what they have to say to enter. I could have done something like, "I hate Wilmer." Like, you got to comment that to be entered. That'd have been funny. Yeah, I'm gonna roll this here in about 30 seconds to a minute. So get your last things in. Oh, thanks, Jeff. Show the goods. Can we get to I hate Wilmer? Hey, I hope you win now. Just kidding. Yeah, Ricky showed what we're giving away. If he wants to pop it up on his little screen again, he can. But it is gonna be Patrick Bailey bobblehead. So whoever wins, just either DM Ricky directly on Instagram or DM me or Cody on X, and we'll get the info sent over to him so we can get it shipped out.
Yeah.
I can't watch all the games to rely on you.
Anybody else have any other questions while we give people a little extra time to hop in here?
Drew Baker. Shut up, Cody.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone got any last comments or questions? We'll get it going. We'll answer them and then we'll roll it. Well, we're about to have 20 home runs and 80 RBIs. Want whatever you're smoking, Ziggy. All right. I think we're just going to launch it. Good luck, everyone. Like I said, whoever wins, reach out to any of us three. We'll get it shipped out to you ASAP. I got to toggle to a different screen, Ricky, so make sure we see this. I'm going to go ahead and draw it in 3, 2, 1. Good luck, everyone. Our winner is Michi. Michi. Where's Michi at? See that baseball anime? Where is Michi? Michi, you in here?
Michi, to confirm that you won, you have to type in "I love Wilmer Flores." Okay.
Yeah.
If you do not type in "I love Wilmer Flores," you do not win the bobblehead. Sorry, and then we'll just run it back.
Well, thank God. Keep in mind, we're gonna do giveaways regularly. This was for Cody in the channel hitting 1,500 subs. So we'll do our next giveaway once we hit 2K. So
what are we at right now?
It's a good question.
Where are we? Let's see.
Michi, where are you?
$1.53K.
1.35. Or it was 1,200. Not my bad. 1,200 was the giveaway. 1,500 is going to be the next one. Where's Michi? What we can do is we can hope that see if maybe Cody can get in touch with Michi. If
1538.
1538. Okay.
1538.
Michi fainted. So if I don't know, Cody, you want to see maybe you can get in touch with Michi over the coming days. If he claims it, great. If not, we can run it again on the next episode.
Should we you know what we can do is we can run another one. And if Michi doesn't, if we can't get a hold of Michi, this person can be the runner-up. And this person for now, I could do the Basabe card too, if you want to do that.
Yeah, I'm down for that. You guys want to do one more giveaway?
We'll we'll give away this. Let's see how well you guys can see it, but it's
I'll do this.
Basabe. There we go. You can kind of see it. There we go. It's a little bit blurry. There's a Basabe autograph card. He's on the Giants roster right now. It's Luis Matos' cousin. So winner of this giveaway will get that card. And if Michi doesn't respond, you'll also get the bobblehead. We'll do that. Does that work?
Let's do it. Works for me. All right, let's do it one more time. Entries are still valid, so I'm just going to respin. The way I have it set, Michi can't win a second time. So again, if Michi's prize goes unclaimed, you will get 2-for-1 deal. So let's do one more. So you guys have already commented. 26 of you, you're still in there. So let's go ahead and draw one more time. 3, 2, 1. Imagine Cody won it. Oh, Skaters.
Skaters.
Yeah, they're good fans of the channel.
Yeah.
Sweet. Sounds good. I know you got their contact, Cody, so hit them up and let them know that they won the Basabe.
And then Skaters, you guys will get the bobblehead if Michi doesn't end up responding. So you'll get that as well.
Yep. Sweet. GG's, you got them. Cool. Yeah, next one will probably be, I don't know, Cody, if you want to do 17 or 2K or both, whatever, depending on which one we get. I got stuff to give away too. At least we didn't win this time.
Oh yeah, we'll keep them coming for sure. We could do like 1750, I guess, 3/4 of the way to 2K.
Yeah, I'm thinking that. I'm thinking 1750 then 2K. As long as Cody's cool with that, works for me. I do think I'll give away a hoodie though. The one that I sent you and Cody and Cody's dad and
yeah. Why don't you do you have one right there, like next to you?
Yeah.
I was gonna say maybe hold one up so people could see that.
Yeah, this one right here.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, here's the back of it, you guys. There's the back, super clean. You can ask Cody or Ricky.
Yeah, they came out really nice.
And the front, you got the YouTube logo at UID show. So yeah, they're super clean. So yeah, I'm thinking the next one I'll give it away. Is it XL? I can get it any size you want. So yeah, whatever size you guys want. They're super comfortable, super clean. So I can give one of these away next.
Yeah, and maybe if I know some people were interested in buying one, maybe at some point, if we get enough people, we can get a little group together and sell a few off to some people if anybody still wanted to get one of those. I'm
honestly brainstorming the idea of launching a little merch website. So I still want to touch base with Cody and Ricky, and I still want to touch base with them, get their approval. Obviously, it's Cody's show, but I just want to help them out since I got the connections with all the merch. So whether it's, stickers, hats, shirts, hoodies, whatever you guys want, whatever Cody approves, whatever Ricky think is dope. I'm planning on doing something like that in the near future. Then you guys can just go to the link whenever and get whatever you'd like. So that's something we're brainstorming right now. So we'll dive into that. Dan the man hooking people up. Yeah, I hooked the 3 of them up for sure. But happy to do so. But no, that's all I got for this episode. Skaters and Michi, hit up Cody if you're rewatching this. Claim your prizes, and then Ricky will get those sent out to you guys. But no, good show. A lot of good stuff talking about. Appreciate you joining me, Ricky. Cody, hope you feel better, brother. We'll catch you on Friday. Cody will probably drop a few more episodes in the upcoming days if he's feeling up to it. So I'll just be on the lookout for that. But you got any last words before we call it quits?
Yeah, just those of you guys that won, if you guys are still on here, you can either DM me on the IG handle right under my face. you can DM me there, or you can go on Cody's X page at EYD Show, and you can hit him up on there. If you guys have Instagram, though, check out the page. Drop on that handle below, SF Giants Cove. Posting prospect updates, score updates, lineups daily, any general kind of Giants updates and news, memes, triggering Dodger fans, all sorts of stuff. So check that out too. And follow Dan on X. He's got some good memes he's been posting on there too. You guys will like them for sure.
Yeah, I don't really advertise my X. I only got like 70 followers, but for whatever reason, I piss a lot of people off, so my posts get a lot of likes. So if you want a good laugh, check him out. And Cody definitely does not contribute to my memes. That's all I'm gonna say. Cody, he pleads the fifth. He definitely does not contribute to them. But all right, we're gonna call it a wraps on tonight. Thanks for hopping on with me, brother. Cody, heal up. Guys, thank you for joining. I hope you all have a good night. We will see you next Friday. Like I said, be on the lookout for a couple episodes from Cody the upcoming days. Dan, the most disliked account with 70 followers. You're not wrong, dude. Giants Eggs hates me with a passion, but everyone else thinks it's funny. So whatever. I'm here for a good time, not for a long time. But all right, guys, have a good night. We'll see you guys next week. We are out.